By the age of 10, I had roamed the African jungle, herded sheep in a nomadic life, slept next to my own grave, and escaped a civil war. Today, I stand before you transformed. The AVID program transformed my journey into that of a survivor, into that of a fighter and a survivor. I was born in Somalia during a time of domestic chaos. My mother and older sister managed the domestic needs of the family. As the youngest, I was regarded as an underutilized resource. The family decided that I would be sent to assist my grandmother, a nomadic shepherd living in the jungles of Somalia. I found myself 6 years old and alone with my 1-year-old brother. I remained strong and paid attention as my grandmother instructed me on our new life. My survival depended upon avoiding snakes and the predators of the jungle. After many long training sessions, my grandmother entrusted me with my own herd of goats and sheep. With my brother now 2 years old, I migrated according to the dietary needs of our herd, reuniting with my grandmother only twice a month. By the age of 9, I had come down with a sickness and struggled to maintain the survival of the herd. My illness devastated my family, and my grave was dug. White linens were prepared for my eventual death. I slept next to my grave to make burial easier for my family. It was during this time that a stranger came out of the jungle. It was my mother. Upon seeing my condition, she carried my brother and I out of the jungle to join the rest of the family. Our journey out of the jungle brought us to the capital of Mogadishu, the sight of the wounded, the stench of death, and the sound of gunshots and agonizing screams of the dying are still vivid in my memory. As my mother was carrying me across the street to the hospital, I lifted my head just in time as a man was shot dead in front of me. When I arrived at the filthy hospital, I was denied treatment because I had not been shot. We then had to flee through Mogadishu. We passed through feuding tribal territories, escaping inhumane executions that might befall us. We boarded a barely functioning plane from central Mogadishu that took us to the Kenyan border. It was on this day that I vowed my existence would not be in vain if I survived and escaped this wretchedness. I would use my life to help improve the lives of others. Though we were able to escape with our lives, we were witnesses to the heartbreaking misfortune of other Somalis. We made it to Nairobi, where I finally received treatment for malaria. My family and I spent the time seeking shelter and nourishment. And I even learned Swahili. I eventually arrived in California, where I started my first formal education on my 12th birthday. I did not know anything about math, reading, writing, or even white people. It was decided I would attend school. I was brought into a building with 4 walls and sat down on a chair, not understanding I was to stay seated. Nobody spoke my language. I was placed in a situation I did not understand. After a couple of days, there was one thing I did understand. Once the bell rang and the doors were open, I would run free once again. My favorite thing to do was to run to this big tree and climb to the top and sit. It reminded me of the days back in Somalia when I would climb a big tree or mountain to get my bearings to locate my grandmother in the jungle. My teacher had to call in for backup and bait me with candy to get me back into the classroom. The next several years I spent adjusting to a new life. I was in English as a second language through the 10th grade. I had dreams, but academically I was far behind. My life was transformed on the day I walked into the AVID classroom during the lunch period seeking shelter from the rain. The classroom itself looked very different from all the other classes. I was intrigued and I approached my AVID teacher with my questions. That is the day I learned about what the word college meant, a place of higher learning. I recognized quickly that AVID would provide me with guidance and support that I desperately needed. I brought the AVID teacher, Mrs. Bayless, my transcript for consideration into the program. My transcript revealed a sophomore student with poor grades who had not even passed Algebra 1, therefore lacking all the college qualifying classes. However, Mrs. Bayless welcomed me into the AVID program and created a plan that made college seem attainable. She immediately enrolled me into the junior college for math and summer school at Loyola High School to catch me up. Her belief in me made me forget my insecurities about my lack of academic success. I was immersed in a strong support network that included my peers and college student tutors who reminded me daily that my dreams were very possible. The tools I gained at AVID each day improved my self-confidence dramatically. Through AVID, I learned and received the higher level skills necessary to excel in my other classes. I learned how to take Cornell-style notes that made reviewing class material easier. I learned how to organize my time, but most importantly, I believed in myself. As I became a stronger student, I enrolled into honors and advanced placement classes, eventually getting on track and qualifying for college. Also through AVID, I participated in enriching opportunities such as field trips, college tours, and an SAT preparation course through the Princeton Review. AVID also placed a big emphasis on community service. I learned that donating my time and dedicating myself to the community was rewarding, eventually earning me the Youth of the Year Runner-Up Award for the city of Anaheim. AVID also introduced me to the school of my choice, UC Berkeley. In one innovative workshop, my AVID teacher arranged for the admissions officer from UC Berkeley to visit us and personally review the personal statements of all the AVID seniors. That day changed my life forever. The UC Berkeley admissions officer finally knew me. She took a copy of my essay with her. During my senior year, the local newspaper published my story. The school awarded me with my own page in the yearbook, and I received acceptance to many schools, including my choice, UC Berkeley. Everything I learned in AVID, the Cornell-style note-taking, the time management, the determination, and my ILAC, that part of me that says I am lovable and capable, I took with me to UC Berkeley. And that includes my resume. We did it in AVID. I went into the dean's office at UC Berkeley with that resume and asked to do my work study with her. She took one look at it and hired me on the spot. Today, I stand before you, transformed into a UC Berkeley graduate with a double major in African American Studies and Legal Studies, a law student at the University of San Francisco, the San Francisco Bar Association's pick for their prestigious minority law student scholarship, and the future First Somali of California. I'm grateful to AVID and my AVID teacher, Mrs. Bayless, who brought out the very best in me. AVID has taught me that when you believe in yourself, anything is possible. So, if you believe in AVID as strongly as I believed in myself, then you believe that others like me can do the same. Come from no education to qualifying and graduating from one of the top universities in the nation. Please believe in people like me, for AVID transformed me into who I am today.